I'm Emily.
And I'm Hannah.
We are best friends and dietitians. We have a goal of challenging nutrition misinformation and fitness trends with an evidence-based approach.
Each episode, we will dish up our thoughts about the latest facts on a popular health-related topic.
We're the Up-Beet Dietitians.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Up-Beet Dietitians podcast.
Hello, everyone. We are so excited for today. It is our 100th episode. We've come so far, this little project child of ours, and now we wanted to do something fun. Well, first and foremost, we wanted to thank you guys for 100 episodes. We could not do this without you guys. Like, if you guys were not here, we would not have probably made it past like 15.
We just feel like talking into a void, but we know that there's a lot of listeners who are regulars. We love you. We appreciate you. Like Emily said, we couldn't do it without you.
So we thought it would be fun to do a little special edition episode for 100. And we asked you guys to submit either like DMs, or we put question boxes up on our Instagram page to give us kind of questions that you wanted us to answer. So there's a wide range here. There's like personal life to like nutrition, to like intuitive eating, to like vacationing, to TikTok, dietetics.
We're all over the board today.
And we're just going to kind of go through them, answer your questions, and have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be great.
It'll be great. Okay, let's get into it because we have a lot of questions actually, which thank you guys for submitting these. We're so excited that, again, like we have this like audience who's engaging and communicating. It's just the best.
Yes.
Okay, so our first one is not about nutrition. The first question is, what are your favorite podcasts? So Emily and I always talk about this together, but we've never actually talked about it on air. So Emily, do you want to go first? What are your favorites?
I have two favorite podcasts. Of course, one is like a dietitian one, and then the other one's a non-nutrition one. So my dietitian one, the one that Hannah and I talk about all the time, is the Unconventional RD by, oh my gosh, why don't I know her last name? I know her first. I know Erica. Okay, I was like, I always just refer to her as Erica. Like she's the only Erica that exists. But love her podcast. She does a lot of like business for dietitians and like free advice. Essentially, it's super helpful.
Really good advice.
Like all of these guests who are so knowledgeable, and like they're very different niches, and I love listening to it. Although I do have to pace myself with hers because I feel like I get a little bit overwhelmed easily, just because there is so much information. I'm like, I'm not doing half of these things.
She gives so many takeaways that you like physically can't do them all at once, which is like so helpful that she is like giving so much information out. But I feel that too. Like you can't do all the things she recommends at once, even though they are so helpful, because there's not enough hours in the day to do all that.
Yes. My other favorite podcast right now is Anything Goes by Emma Chamberlain. I feel like she just has one of the funniest online personalities I've ever heard. And it's very interesting to me to just like hear her talk about the randomest things.
Yeah. Like what does she even like talk about? I had never listened to hers before.
The ones that I recently listened to, I was like, oh, this is interesting. There was one that was like, is cheating, like talking about cheating and if it's okay, or like different reasons for it. And then the other one I listened to recently was like, nobody's actually cool. And like, she's such a high profile like YouTuber that I like wanted to hear these things. And I was like, what is life like when you are one of the most like influential people or like female entrepreneurs online, and you are, I think she's 22.
What?
She's a baby. I want to say I think she's born in 2001.
What?
She's a baby.
Oh my gosh.
But it's so interesting to just hear like, she like runs like 3 different businesses. So like she has to have it together, but I enjoy listening to her podcast.
I know who she is, like, because you talk about her, and of course she's so just like big and popular.
Mhm.
But I've never listened to her podcast before. It sounds like it'd be just like a fun listen. Like we said, like Erica's educational. We're using it for like business strategy, but that one just seems like it's like just fun.
Yeah, it doesn't stress me out at all.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Which
love you,
is nice.
Erica, but sometimes your
Yes.
podcast is too good.
It's like, oh, I need something that's not motivating me to do to work on private practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, Erica's one of mine as well, the unconventional RD. If you
Mhm.
were an RD listening, we highly recommend her podcast. If you do have any interest in private practice. My other one is Office Ladies. Friends of mine know that I am like the biggest Office fan ever, which I feel like is so cringe to say now because like everyone's an Office fan. It's like kind of coming back around. But like truly, I've watched The Office like a million times. It's kind of like always on and like in the background and everything. But this podcast is hosted by, you know, Miss Pam and Angela. If you're um, watchers of The Office, they're like actually best friends in real life. And they are going through the entire series of The Office and breaking down episodes with like background information and bloopers and like how they did a certain stunt and things like that, behind the scenes, things like that. So it's just really fun. Same thing for me. It's just like my fun, laid back podcast. I listen to it like while I go for walks or I'm cleaning or whatever.
That's such a like good. I feel like I'm just thinking about it because like we constantly talk about business, but that's such like a good business idea to like use something you already have
I
and just
know.
like chat about it.
I don't
Like
know who did
I don't
it.
even know how many episodes there are.
Oh, there's 9 seasons. So like a ton and like 20,
Yeah.
more than 20 every season. So they're actually getting close. They're on season 8 right now. I've listened to it like as they've produced them and they're almost done. They always like joke about how they're going to like do spin-off podcasts. Like they have one they're calling Mom Detectives, which actually they want to do a TV show as where they're just like these 50-year-old moms who like solve like really tiny crimes in the community. It's actually super cute. It's always like who, I don't even know, like who egged Susan's house or whatever, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think they also want to do like movie breakdowns too, because their whole thing is like breaking down Office episodes. They want to do like movies too.
Mhm.
Which that's the one I think nerve-wracking part of a podcast like that is there is like a finite end to it where after the seasons are over, what do you do next?
Yeah.
But they're celebrities, so they'll have no problem. Like whatever they do, someone
No,
will
I
listen
think
to
they're
it.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we're kind of trying to make even this podcast like a little bit of a combination between nutrition and education and also just like us as humans too.
Yeah.
Because we obviously like nutrition and talking about it, but doing it all the time is exhausting.
Yeah. It's also fun to talk about personal life stuff. I feel like that's like more podcasts are more casual than we make it.
I
So
know.
we're
Ours
trying
is
to,
kind of like a textbook sometimes.
yeah. So we're trying to make it a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next question. So the next question we got from you guys was how to fuel as a student athlete with a high energy need and high protein want.
So more nutrition this time. Hopefully, I guess if you're a student athlete in a collegiate setting, you might have a sports dietitian. And if that's the case, definitely go with their recommendations. If you don't, there's tons of sports RDs on like Instagram. We recommend. We can actually put in the show notes some ones that we love. We've had a few actually on the podcast. I think like 3.
Yeah.
We've had Katie,
We've
Jessica,
had-
and Lauren.
If you count Leslie, she didn't do Nutrition Rex, but she was on too.
That's true. So we'll share our episodes as well as some different ones we recommend following on Instagram, just to kind of get that continuous information to learn from. But of course, if you have high energy needs, my like go-to tip is just to choose high calorie foods instead of trying to like fill your belly full of like low calorie foods. It's never going to feel very good to just try to get your calorie needs from like broccoli. That's going to be impossible. So eating a lot of high calorie foods and of course timing it so it makes sense for your exercise. Like it wouldn't feel good to eat a super high calorie meal like right before, let's say, a run or whatever you're doing. So it's more so like on those rest days or like in between workouts trying to get those higher calorie foods in where you can.
Yeah. I definitely second the high calorie foods because like those are often demonized, but especially when you're exerting so much energy, you need easy ways to like replenish those energy stores. So finding something that like your body tolerates as high calorie, because sometimes maybe there's something that's like higher in like fat that you don't digest as well, but it's also like the timing of it as well. Like don't eat something huge before you're going to go run like a timed mile or something. That's not probably going to go super well.
Exactly. And like after a workout too, it's actually not recommended to have like a lot of like fats right after a workout, because it can kind of slow down how quickly your body is like absorbing the nutrients that it needs, the carbs and the protein, which is the next part of the question, which is like they want to also work on getting a high protein intake, which with that, I would just say eating high protein foods. I think the biggest thing though is trying your best to spread your protein out throughout the entire day if you can, because it can feel really tough to like get all your protein in like a 3-hour span of time, which is why intermittent fasting is not super great for a lot of reasons, but for athletes especially, because they have such unique energy and like macronutrient needs. And if you're only eating from like noon to 6 every day, it's going to be near impossible to get all the nutrients that your body needs in.
Yeah. I think also with protein, just finding like accessible protein sources as well, it plays a huge part. Like I think people think protein, they think like chicken and steak and protein shakes. Like it doesn't need to be like animal protein sources are more bioavailable where your body will absorb more of the protein compared to plant. But sometimes like beans are a more financially friendly option, a little bit more accessible potentially to like cook as well compared to like waiting for chicken to bake for 45 minutes or however long it is. I don't cook chicken for 45 minutes.
That would be some
cook it for like 20, 20 for like 25. I was like, that's a really long time. But just finding like sources that work for you, like if you like protein bars, like especially in the supplement world, supplements, like not only we want to make sure they're third party tested, go listen to our supplement episode if you have not already, but also they can get really expensive and there's all these different types. So like if that's just not accessible to you, that's okay. There are other sources that are more friendly and or financial, like friendly to the wallet that you can that will work just as well.
Yeah. One last note I want to add too is even foods you don't consider a protein source have protein in them. So you're likely getting more than you even think you are a lot of times. Like this morning, for example, I had a bagel. A bagel has a good, like, I think it's like 10 grams or something like in a whole bagel. I myself paired it with like a protein coffee because I love having those just to get a few extra grams there too. But all that to say that like different foods you eat, even if you don't consider them like a protein source, they likely have some protein in there too.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to our third question, another nutrition one. This one we have a lot of what ifs, and we recommend, of course, reaching out to your healthcare provider for actual diagnoses. But the question is, what are some reasons for having a bellyache after eating? So I feel like there's a lot of like rapid fire, just like general things we could recommend here. But again, if it's like a persistent chronic thing, see your doctor.
Seek individualized medical attention, please.
Yeah. My first thought is just like generally eating past what your body's comfortable eating. And that a lot of times in my world that I see with clients is they're not eating enough throughout the earlier parts of the day. And then they get to their like first meal of the day and they haven't eaten in like 16 hours. So they're starving. And so they eat past fullness there. So it could be that just like generally inconsistent intake, which is leading you to, I don't know if I want to use the word binge, but it could be binging depending on how you define it. Binge eating or overeating when you finally get to that meal or snack.
My first thought was along those lines too, but it was like more so just like eating too quickly.
Oh, totally.
But it's like leading to like ignoring your fullness cues because you're just eating so quickly that your body doesn't have time to send you like those messages. Hey, or full, you can stop. My second thought was about like maybe there's like a food you're not used to eating, or like I always think along like the spice levels or like spicy, hot, acidic foods, like stuff like that. If you're not used to eating a lot of those types of foods, or maybe they're not like culturally, there's something you eat quite often that could be causing some belly aches after eating as well.
Yeah. My second thought was along those lines kind of too, which again, we're not fear mongering or diagnosing here, but it could be related to like a food intolerance or like Emily said, you don't eat that food very often. So your body's like, what the heck is this? And a lot of times like food intolerances, like lactose intolerance, for example, can develop like later in life. So maybe you've been okay eating ice cream up until your 30s, but now for whatever reason, your body is like, nope, we cannot tolerate this ice cream anymore. So again, definitely not diagnosing. I'm gonna make it very clear that we are not telling you that you can't have ice cream. But that could be one reason why. I'm trying to think what else.
I'm thinking like from a psychological standpoint, if like you like get really anxious about like if you ate something that you label as like a bad food and you like eat a bunch of it and then you start stressing about it, that could cause
totally
a belly ache.
And even like
potentially
a very common symptom of eating disorders, specifically like anorexia, is like gastrointestinal issues because your body is just used to not getting enough food. And so it starts to kind of slow things down. So if you've been struggling for a long time with not eating enough and you are kind of working on eating a little bit more, whether that's like intentional or because maybe it's turning into like a binging disorder kind of thing, in whatever way you're going from not eating enough to eating maybe more than what your body can tolerate, that could lead to those belly aches too.
Yeah. I feel like there are a lot of like chronic conditions that can cause some abdominal pain, but we're not going to go through all those because you would need a diagnosis from a medical doctor.
Again, see your doctor. This is like a constant thing.
Yes. Please seek attention if need be.
Okay. The next one's like a two-part one. We actually got two similar questions. We'll kind of group them together. They both have to do with not thinking about calories anymore. So basically both questions ask like, I've been thinking about calories for a long time. Whenever I eat, I can just like know how many calories are in that. How do I kind of like get out of that automatic like calorie counting mindset?
So I think one of the biggest things is like, I wouldn't remove the calories from it, whether there's like, I know sometimes people will like remove like nutrition labels or they'll like scratch it out. Or if it's like listed on a menu, they'll have someone else look at it for them. So they don't even see that. I think that like, I have full faith that I don't even want to say like you're disciplined because the word discipline is like a trigger.
I hate the D word.
But just like removing that so you can't even know, like I'm sure like if you've been doing it for a long time, you can probably guess, but at least like not being able to like scan it or like look it up, that can play at least a good step in that direction. So you don't even know what it is. Unfortunately, then you're in that unknown, but we grow best when we're in the gray unknown area. And starting off with that, but then like, I think having a good support system, I would try to like eat with other people potentially, because then you're not just fixated on what you're eating and how many calories are in it. Like have a conversation with someone. I know that like we don't always encourage like distracted eating, like with a TV show or reading, but sometimes that can help where like your thoughts are just overrunning all about calories. So like maybe like removing the source and then potentially finding a distractor, whether it's like someone else or a different activity. You don't have to do this all the time. Just finding what also works best for you.
Exactly that. Like, and like being realistic too, where if you identify that it does help to like have someone with you, but you can't always do that, don't like get stressed about not being able to like always have your friend Susan over to eat with you.
Yeah. Please
like,
eat.
Like eat by yourself if you need to. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the very first step, if you haven't already, would be to like delete any apps that you have, of course, that are like having you count calories.
Yeah.
Those obviously are not going to help you with this. I think this is not the answer you want to hear, but just like continuous practice is the biggest thing. Someone did ask as part of this question is like, how long will this take? Basically, when I don't think about it anymore. I think the thing is like, you will likely always have those numbers. Like Emily and I are trained dietitians where we learned about the calories in like every single food ever. It was like drilled into our brains. So I think it's more so how you use that information. Like it's not a bad thing to have nutrition education and understand like what is a protein source, how many calories are in a banana. It's more so like how are we using that information, and is it making us restrict, or do we feel like it's like burn off X number of calories if we go past that? Whatever disordered behavior that you identify, I think identifying it first of all, and then working on that specifically versus like trying to forget all the things that you know about nutrition, because it's not a bad thing to like have that education in your head. It's just, again, how you're using it.
Yeah. I also think that like if you have the resources and money, if you're able, or like if you're working on this and you're noticing like I can't, like I need some extra support, seeking out like a therapist and a dietitian would be really beneficial to have on your side to help you through changing that mindset and whatnot.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, to kind of answer the question that I didn't really answer about like how long will it take?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if there is a timeline for that. Everyone's journey is so different. And like I said, you might always like be able to like look at a banana and know how many calories are in it, estimated.
Yeah. But
like,
it's like about how you use that information then.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. All right. Next question is more of a personal one for Emily and I. This is gonna be a fun one. So the question is, what is our dream vacation? Where is it at? Have we been there before? What activities would we want to do there? What sightseeing? What food?
So many
Basically,
questions.
I love this question so much. It's like 8 questions in one. It's kind of my style. So, Emily, you go first. What is your dream vacation?
I don't know if I have one specific. Okay. I'll create a dream vacation in my head. So my dream vacation, if I had unlimited disposable income and unlimited time off, and I could do whatever I wanted, had no responsibilities, essentially. Not do whatever I wanted, like illegal things or like go
Is that what
wreak
you want to do as
havoc.
illegal stuff?
No. But essentially have no one to report back to at any point in any capacity in my life. Would be probably like a vacation. Like I would probably do a month at least through Asia.
Ooh.
Where I would go, like, I don't know if I'd start north. Maybe I'd start north so it gets warmer as I continue on. So I go to like South Korea, Japan. China kind of scares me, but I feel like I'd want to go to China still. Philippines. When I say China scares me, it's only because I feel like all the constant fear mongering they do over here in America of China. So I'm like, who knows what is real? I don't. I don't have any connections to anyone there.
I guess the
So
Chinese probably the only ones, or those who visit.
yeah. 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 But I'd go to China and then have to see the homelands in the Philippines. And then I feel like I'd want to go to like Malaysia. I definitely want to go to like Singapore. Singapore looks crazy.
It does.
But
I've seen like TikToks. Oh,
yeah. And then maybe end with like, one of our friends is going to punch me for this. I don't know if I think Bali is a country or is it a city? Hold on. Because she told me that I should
oh my
visit there
gosh.
because
Bali is in Indonesia.
okay, I was about to say go to Indonesia, but I was like, she tells me about Bali all the time. And I'm like, is it another country? Okay, we're gonna go to Indonesia and skirt our way over into Bali in Indonesia. But I would go to all those countries. Maybe I need more. Maybe I do a summer.
You're gonna need more than a month. Yeah.
Yeah, all these different places. Specifically, like, okay, so I gave the where. I've not been to any of these places. I haven't been anywhere in Asia before. Activities, lots of food for sure.
That's why we travel.
Like so much food.
Yeah.
And then honestly, just like enjoying the warm weather. If there are hikes, I will be finding those.
Oh, I guarantee there's hikes.
Yeah. And then specific sightseeing. Oh, I want to see the cherry blossoms in Japan.
Ooh.
At some point. That'd be so cool. But there's like only a specific time they go. So I'd have to time my vacation around those. I don't know.
A whole summer. I think you'll find the time.
Yeah. I don't know like the specific things. I feel like maybe like I know the Philippines the best because like my Lola and Lolo are from there. So I'd have to go to like Manila, the capital, where my Lola's from, and just like eat so much Filipino dessert and food. I feel like this is just gonna be a very like hiking, maybe beachy, and like food. Did I already say food? I forgot the.
That's like literally the reason why, at least me, like why I want to go on trips is for the food.
Yes.
And like seeing nature and stuff too. But
yeah. And like experiencing like the different cultures. Like that's always so cool to just like see how, because it's very easy to like forget what type of world we live in when you're like so like tunnel visioned on everything in your own life. But like there are people like on the other side of the globe that like potentially live their lives completely differently than you.
Oh yeah. I've been to Scotland twice and I always think about this. They had no idea what Pop-Tarts were. Like we were just like talking about Pop-Tarts and they had no idea. And s'mores. They didn't know what s'mores were. Oh. Which I know is like such minute things about culture. Like they obviously have like there's way more to it than just s'mores and Pop-Tarts. Mm-hmm. But like it just kind of proves the point that like the things that we just like talk about on a regular basis, they just have no idea even exist in different parts of the world.
Yeah. I feel like that was like the only other place internationally I've been. Well, I guess I've been to Canada, but I don't know if I count Canada really international.
It's a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Yeah. But when I went to France, it like legitimately like changed the way I eat. And I was like, this is one country. And I was there for a week. Like, imagine all the things I could learn with my summer vacation to Asia.
I know. I think about that all the time too. Like I am so not well traveled. I have so many places I want to go to. Mm-hmm. And I just hope that can happen. Like it stinks that we have to work and pay bills. Yeah.
To keep ourselves alive.
Right. And like there's barely any time for traveling. No. Anyway, future goals is this podcast to be a worldwide hit and me get to
and we can travel with each other. I'll go to wherever you want to go.
I was gonna say I want to go on your suitcase to your Asian
we'll record
tour.
in each country, well, each week or so, and we'll let you guys know.
Yeah, we can like make a friend in each country and have like a guest episode from each country, talking about like their food, their cultural foods.
That's literally all I want to do. I'm like, please just tell me about your food and let me experience your food.
Well, okay, we'll go to Asia for yours. I want to go explore like more of Europe. So we'll do Asia and Europe. I do want to go to Australia too, but I don't know if they're like really known for their food. I'm sure they have
Australia.
I'm scared because the spiders. Is that why you're scared too?
Yeah.
I'm terrified.
I'm like normally fine with spiders, but I've seen pictures and I'm like, how? I know. If I woke up with one of those above me, I would I would pass away.
I've been to Costa Rica too, and they had like scorpions are a thing there. Terrible. They were just like in our room. It was terrible.
I'd be so scared they'd get my suitcase.
I know. Costa Rica was amazing. I should say that first. I loved it, but the scorpions really had me shaking in my boots, my flip-flops.
Yeah. Okay, so where are you going in Europe?
Okay, so Europe, I know it's kind of cliche, but I've always wanted to go to Italy. For the food, of course, pizza, gelato, pasta, all those things. And of course, the sites there too, I'm sure are just like amazing. I follow the Home Edit. Do you follow them?
I have one of their planners, but I don't follow them.
Okay. So one of them, Clea, she's in Rome like literally right now as we're recording this. And so she's like posting about like all the sites. Just looks amazing. Like the pizza and everything. Looks amazing. So I want to go to Italy. I mean, you talk so highly of France. I feel like I gotta go there for their food.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think where else I'd want to go. I'm not too keen on Germany. I mean, I like German food in general, but I don't know that I would like make a special trip out there. If it's along the way, I guess I'll make a little stop, but I'm trying to think where else I'd want to go in Europe.
He should go to Spain for tapas.
Oh my gosh. You're right.
Portugal.
Portugal.
That's like all that area.
I know.
I don't know if I'd want to go to England for the food.
No.
They don't eat vegetables. And I'm like, I would be constipated the entire time.
I've been to Scotland, which I know is different, but they eat pretty similarly for the most part. And I mean, it was just like every meal was so heavy. Like breakfast was always like eggs, sausage, beans, tomato. I guess tomatoes was like their one veggie we always had. And it was just like, oh, so heavy. And I remember we would have, like, I was there for soccer tournaments and we would have like a lunch that was like packed for us, like in between like games or practice or whatever. And for lunch, we would have sparkling water, which who wants that when you're like running around on a field? And like cold butter and shredded cheese sandwiches on just like bread. Yeah. My belly was unwell. It was interesting.
Oh my gosh.
It was interesting. I don't know if that's like a universal experience or just like somehow that's what we got stuck eating. I don't know. But it was the sparkling water really got me. And it's like the plain sparkling water, which I think I was like, what, 14 or something. So at that age, I was not fancy enough to be drinking sparkling water. And so I was like, what is this?
Yeah, like I just want some. Although I feel like I've heard of that, or like it's hard to find tap water in a couple, I don't want to say a lot because I do not have the knowledge to be speaking on this confidently, but in like a decent amount of European countries, like sparkling water, or like I think sparkling water is like served typically.
Yeah.
It's hard to find tap.
I think you're right.
Or is it that soda's cheaper than water?
I don't recall having a lot of soda, but maybe that's not in Scotland that's the case.
I drink a lot of wine in France, but that I had no complaints there.
Yeah. Oh, that's also why I want to go to France.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The vineyards. Oh my gosh.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. You have to go to South France because I went to Lyon. I didn't go to Paris. I don't know. People say Paris is overrated.
I was
scared of getting pickpocketed. Actually, one of my friends because I did it for a study abroad, literally within 10 minutes of being in Paris, they got pickpocketed.
Oh,
and like lost their wallet and their phone. But also they were not smart and put it in their back pocket. I'm like, you're asking to get pickpocketed. Like, so it was, I feel like it was kind of like people shouldn't be pickpocketing in the first place, but like
even like in Indiana, like I'm not gonna put my phone in my wallet in my back pocket. Like I'm not doing that even here where I'm likely never gonna get pickpocketed.
No. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'm excited. Wait, what about Greece? Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Of course.
The like
Greek food is
so good. Oh my, you could do like a whole Mediterranean tour, just like in the Mediterranean Sea, just hang out there. Bobby and I have actually talked about like, really, we're not engaged, but the honeymoon is one of the most important parts of it, if not the most important part. And one of our discussions at some point was like doing a like cruise on the like Mediterranean Sea and just like hitting all the countries touching there.
That'd be amazing.
Like, oh, I would be so happy. That food would be so good.
So good. Indiana is the pits. I mean, I like living here because cost of living is what it is and it's quiet. My family's here. But like I was recently on a work trip with others from like kind of Midwest area. Some were from California and I was the only one from Indiana. And they're like, okay, I have a cousin who lives in Indiana. When I go, what food should I get? I'm like, you're not going to Indiana for the food. Let me tell you that. Like, there is nothing here that you like have to get while you're here.
I was gonna say, I was thinking like, what is Indiana specific?
I don't know. I was like, do you have Culver's where you live? They're like, yeah, we have Culver's. That's like a Wisconsin thing anyway. It's not even like an Indiana
Yeah,
thing. Like we have nothing. Like
yeah.
we have Portillo's now in Fort Wayne, which obviously is not from here. We have,
Hmm.
I mean, everything we have has been from somewhere
I was
else.
gonna say you guys have Sonic. I don't know a
We,
Sonic around me. I do miss Sonic.
well, we don't have that in Fort Wayne anymore because everyone ran it out of town. So that's a whole thing. But they have them in like other parts of the state. They just don't have them where I
What?
live.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. I love Sonic.
I know. Me too. And we don't have like fancy
That
coffee. Like
makes
we've
me
got
sad.
nothing. Or like in like Utah
Hmm.
and stuff, they have like their like soda shops and those kind of things. Like we got nothing. We have corn.
That's okay. You have your cost of living.
Yep.
Cost of living is very nice. I will
Yep.
say.
It's true.
I feel like that's one of the bonuses of like Chicago is there's so much like authentic food, like all these like mom and pa like
Mm-hmm.
shops. So like that you can probably get any type of food, but like it's just different when you're like in the country.
Thankfully, like we have everything. Like we're in Fort Wayne, so we're in like a pretty big Indiana city. So we have all the things we could want, but nothing authentic to our area really. There's like of course some places that are like not chains that we like go
Right.
to and they're great, but nothing that I'd recommend like coming to Indiana for. Whereas like I was in Kansas City, so of course I like knew I had to get barbecue when I was there. But like
Hmm.
there's nothing here that like
Yeah.
you have to have. So if your dream vacation's Indiana, I challenge you to reconsider.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Uh,
Let's move on to the next question. I like this one. So another nutrition focus question. It is how can we increase access to nutrition education and intuitive eating coaching?
I love it.
I think I have a lot of thoughts, but I don't
Well,
know if any of them are realistic.
I think first and foremost, like what is realistic is it's not always realistic for the dietitians, but like free stuff like this podcast. Like, of course, we can't provide you like one-on-one support this way or, really get to the nitty-gritty of what you're struggling with. And we can't speak directly to you in this way, but at least just like being able to talk about it. Because we talked about in our episode with our story time of our disordered eating, how like our biggest method of recovery was just like learning online from other dietitians who have like become non-diet dietitians. So I think that just like the continuous free content is helpful, but it's like a very, very, very tiny piece of the puzzle because we need more access to actual like one-on-one care, which we don't always have.
Yeah. I think making dietitians more accessible is going to be the biggest thing. And that comes with advocacy. And this is a direct at the academy. I did not renew my academy membership this year, so I feel wild. I'm like, I can say whatever I want. I think the academy needs to do a much, much better job of advocating for what dietitian is, why healthcare providers need to refer to dietitians, and then in doing so, that will not only increase like because one of the biggest reasons a lot of the like I would say like community nutrition I think of or like food service, like when it comes down to it, a lot of it's about money. And
Mm-hmm.
like no one talks about this, but we're gonna keep it 100. I've never said that in my life, and I
That's
did not like it.
never come out of your
I
mouth.
hate
And it
it.
never does again.
I hated that a lot. um, but a lot of dietitians don't stay in like areas where potentially people might need nutrition education more because the pay isn't good. And that's because
Exactly.
there's that lack of advocacy around the profession, which we advocate ourselves, but we're like two little dietitians in this entire huge pool that is the mess that is healthcare.
No one even knows
So
what we are. Like, no one
literally,
knows what dietitians are except for
no one
dietitians.
knows. No, when you say dietitian, like people don't know what you do.
No. Or if they
So
do, like they assume that we are like making what like a speech an SLP makes. Like I had a
yeah,
TikTok recently. It was one where I was like talking about how like, oh, another day of telling everyone to like not do fasting and it's okay to eat a banana. And someone was like, oh, it must be so hard to make all that money you're making as a dietitian saying those things. I'm like, that's cute.
like people like to give it numbers because people are like, well, how much do you make? Because they want, I'm sure you're dying to know because we keep talking about it. Like a lot of salaries make like 45 to 50,000,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. This is just a rant about capitalism.
Here
As
we go.
inflation
Buckle up.
continues, I've like talked about this online a little bit, and people like had their opinions, obviously, which they are free to give. But like the average wage the American makes, like has not been like the ratio to which inflation has increased has not continued on par with inflation. Does that make inflation went up? The wage did not. That's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say.
I've got my
I think
economist husband in the next room. I'll get him to hop
yeah,
on real
God,
quick.
don't let him hear anything I just said. But I heard, I was like, a couple of years ago, there was someone who like actually knew what they're talking about. Besides me just like spouting words, supply and demand.
Yeah.
um, where like they said that with the rate that inflation has increased over like 40, 50 years, like the minimum wage should be like $30 an hour.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, what is it's like I think it might be 775 in Illinois,
I think it's 725 here.
which I'm like,
And it has been as long as I've been working.
oh yeah. I don't I don't think mine has changed either. But I'm like, okay, anyway, we're getting off course. I'm I think that advocacy for the profession will play a huge part because and we'll have more dietitians that want to stay in the field.
That's a thing too.
And
Like not to keep going off topic because it's what we do here, but I don't know if you saw Katie's post talking about like, do we even like want to be dietitians anymore? I don't know.
wait, who posted this?
Fueled former athlete or fueling former athletes.
She made a post about wait.
She was like saying how she thought she wanted to be a clinical RD forever. And then she thought she wanted to do her private practice full time. And now she's like, I don't really know if I want to do that anymore. That's how like I feel like so many of us are feeling. Like,
yeah.
why would we want to stay in this field when there's nothing keeping us here except for like caring for people, which is why we got into it in the first place. But that's only going to carry us so far. We can't do that for 60 years and not ever, or I guess 40 years, and like not get anything besides that from it.
Yeah. Snaps to that. I'm going to go look at her post after this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also the free resources plays a huge part because like
for sure, that's what we can do right now.
It's like really, I feel like one of the challenging things about private practice, which I think we handle quite well, not to be the biased source that I am, but a lot of the like private practice dietitians, their rates that they charge are not accessible to the average American.
I was talking to someone on my trip this last week who is also in private practice. And I don't know what his rates are, but he has someone that he's like peers with who it's a strategy for them to do it this way, but they offer one-on-one coaching and they also offer, I think like a membership or a course or something. And that's like their more reasonably priced thing. And they want that to be what people go and buy for or go and like pay for and like do, which is again, like more accessible. And because of that, they make their one-on-one coaching, I think $1,000 a month. I think it's $1,000 a month. Because they know like they don't want that to like be booked up with hundreds of people. I don't know. I can see both sides because like from a business standpoint, like you will get people who can and will pay for that. But it sucks. Like if someone like really, really liked that person as a provider and they like wanted to work with them, they wouldn't
Yeah.
be able to. But again, I also get it because they don't
You want to like
need.
deter them.
Yeah, exactly. And they know they will make the money from those who can afford it. But
I feel like it comes a lot down to like the person's personality.
yeah,
Like, I don't know. I feel like I couldn't do that.
I know.
Not that that person's listening and they like know
It's
who
just so
they
tricky
are.
too,
But
because I
like
do
it's
feel like
not.
I feel like we're worth it though, too, at the same
Yeah.
time. But also like
Yeah.
I want to be accessible also. So like I was
Yes.
talking to him and I was telling him my rates. We were just like talking about business stuff. And he's like, oh, you got to be charging way more. And I was like, you're probably right. But then like who's gonna be able to pay for that?
Yeah.
Like my
Yeah.
membership, like my membership specifically, and how I charge. It's 30 a month right now and 300 for a whole year, which my whole purpose is to make intuitive eating more accessible through that. But even that, people can't always afford to pay that every month. He's like, no, you got to be charging like way, way more for that, which I could see. I think it is worth it. I really do. I put so much value in that membership, but then who can afford to pay that? Ugh.
Yeah. Besides the very well off people
Exactly.
that oftentimes I feel like are the main clientele base for like a lot of private practice dietitians.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like your rates are good.
I'll keep it the way
And
they are. I'm
I'm
not
just
planning on
saying that.
changing them.
I feel like you have like the podcast, which is free. You have free resources. I like how we're just having a business meeting.
I know.
With on here. Like the membership is a nice like intermediate cost, and then you have like your one-on-one counseling
Exactly.
and your
yeah, we have
courses.
this podcast. We
Like
have
there's
YouTube.
like
I have my blog.
multiple, yeah, like your YouTube and blogs are both also free.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And that's my goal, is to mostly just keep pushing out free content. And not that you guys need to know this unless you're a dietitian, but to make money through like sponsorships and like affiliate marketing and all of those things.
Right. I'd rather take money. I'd rather take money from corporations than you guys.
Me too. Though I'll likely never stop making content because it does drive business, but it also helps you to just get free information.
Yeah. We like free things.
Mm-hmm. It's tricky.
Anyway, now that tangent
that question got brought up.
The state of the profession and our
that question came from a dietitian, so they get it. Yeah. They get it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, this next one, was this one on your personal one, Emily? Because I didn't see this one.
These last ones were.
Okay. So the next one is, what is our dietitian icks? So does this mean, are you interpreting this as like other dietitians, like we see as like,
I think we can do other dietitians. I think we should do other dietitians.
Okay.
But we just talked about how we need to advocate for the field. So I don't know if that's the best. Or we could do like things we see. No, then people will think we're judging what they eat.
I know.
But sometimes, honestly, like I only judge people if what they eat if like they come after me. Like it's
I was thinking
not
like
friendly fire.
I was thinking like diet culture X, like someone who like Bobby, whatever his name is, Flav City or whatever. Like he's an ick for me. You don't know Bobby?
Oh, yes. I thought you were trying to say Bobby Flay at first. I'm like, that's not his name.
No.
Okay. Because yes. Because I was like thinking, at first I was thinking like genuinely bad things, like, oh, like demonizing vegetables. But that's like not an ick. An ick is like something that like is like neutral, but like, so I always think of like, I see, but like you are like, ugh.
Okay.
I mean, I could say like melted cheese.
Okay. I see where you're going with
that's
this.
like not a bad thing.
Ugh, I don't have any
but
food
when
icks.
I see it on something,
I like everything. I guess like room temperature coffee. That's my ick. But like that's just like actually ick.
I'm trying to think of like other things we see. It's tough with this because I normally think of it as like I see it like in the relationship sense where like someone does something that's like not inherently bad, but you're like, oh
yeah,
why do you do that?
Like how someone puts their pants on or something.
Yes. I mean, like I guess we could do I don't know.
I'm stumped.
This
I
is-
don't have a lot of icks. I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I am judgier than I think I am.
I have a lot of personality eggs, so that's not dietitian related.
Well, I guess let's go there. We'll make it our own question. What are your personality icks? I'd love to know so
I
I don't ever
think
do them.
no. I think I have to think of specific examples of people, but we'll leave them unnamed. I think one of my biggest icks is this is all going to be about men. I was given the warning is when, but now, no, this is a bad thing. Because I was going to say when they say their exes are crazy or they like talk really badly about them.
Yeah.
That sounds like,
That's pretty universally like
yeah,
unattractive.
but I've seen that a lot recently. And I'm like, oh, I don't trust you.
Maybe we just don't, do we not know what icks are?
I feel like I don't have a great, I don't think about this at all.
I don't either. I need to like start taking note of these.
I think it's like more of a subconscious thing where,
I mean,
oh, okay, I have an ick.
okay.
When people talk with their mouth full.
Yeah. But I think that's just pretty icky, you know? Like
I don't know. Like
most of us think that
they aren't getting shamed for that enough. I think
that's true.
That's a big ick to me.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like in like the workplace or like in like college, like things like people do like in like a quiet lecture. I guess like eating stinky food, but also I eat stinky food. So
maybe dietitian ick is when people ask me what the best way to lose weight is.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay.
I don't know.
So like
we can do things we've been asked or how we've been perceived as dietitians. That's a big ick to me. I don't like that.
What's the name that I was called when I was an intern?
Dietary?
Diabetic intern. I'll never forget that.
That's a big.
When I was called a diabetic intern, I was like, my A1C is normal. Within normal range.
What?
Thank you very much.
Who messed that up? Like, how do you even
like that goes back to the whole advocacy thing. Like no one knows what dietitians are. They would rather talk about diabetes, which
no one
needs to be talked about, but
yes. But like no one proofread that. Like, why was someone like, I'm a heart disease intern or like something like
the kidney stone intern.
Yeah. Like what? That's an egg. Or I guess like I also don't know if this is just a bad thing. Like when people spell diet the C.
I don't think it's a bad thing. Egg. I think that's an ick. I think that's an ick. Like it's not a bad thing.
That's just incorrect.
But only 2 dietitians. Like no one else thinks it's an ick. Which I think is a perfect ick. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, asking for a meal plan also.
Or like when when you get called a nutritionist.
Of course.
That's an easy ick.
Easy ick.
At least in the US. We don't know other countries' nomenclature.
Yeah.
This is tough. I saw it. I was like, oh, this is such a fun one. And now I'm thinking, I'm like, I don't.
It's such a good question. I wish I had better answers. I apologize to
this is very challenging.
We'll come back. We could do a full episode on this in the future.
Our eggs.
Come back with better answers.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll keep thinking on it. Let's go on to the next one. I have an immediate answer for this. And the question is, what is the most overrated TikTok inspired product? Okay. My immediate answer is those Bloom greens powders that like every influencer
oh my gosh
talks about all the time. All the time.
They're everywhere. Dang, that was a really good one.
It's the first thing I thought of.
TikTok inspired product.
It's tough because the For You page is so curated. And so we get stuff that we actually want to buy.
Yeah. I like don't see a lot of like really specific food ones.
I know.
I see like a lot of recipes, but like if it's a sponsored food one, I'm normally skeptical.
Yeah.
I might go with a non-food one then, because I feel like that's the best food one. I think I'm weirdly on a lot of like makeup TikTok. I don't know. People are so good at makeup, but I also don't use any of it, so I don't know.
Same. I've
Like
worn the
they talk
same.
about specific, yeah. I know my like one routine. This is also a really hard question.
No, you guys are so good. I was thinking like,
I
what's wrong with the keto diet? Okay, I've got an answer for that.
yeah.
These are
No,
good
it's
questions.
yes. Most overrated. Okay. What else are all the people getting sponsorships with? I feel like I also just like don't like watching a lot of sponsored ads.
Mm-mm.
Like I rarely would watch a sponsored TikTok video.
I mean, I get
I
emails
might
all
just
the
have to cop out
time.
and say the grains.
Yeah. I get emails all the time about the stupidest supplements, which I, of course, don't promote, but I'm sure you've seen them. Like, I got one recently for like some kelp algae supplement thing. You got one?
I thought of one. Sorry.
Okay.
Stanley Cups.
Of course.
Yes, Stanley Cups I think is the most overrated
Of course.
because of its exposed straw. I
Mm,
I like get this. I like that if it's in the cup holder. For the record, I'm a Hydro Flask girly. Um, Mine does not fit in the cup holder. It lays in the passenger seat next to me.
it's
There's
insane.
always like a new water bottle trend, but like
Mhm.
they're so big. One Hydro Flask, I feel like I'm not sponsored by Hydro Flask. I just like really like my Hydro Flask. I could like hit someone for self-defense because that's always on my mind if I need to defend myself. But like that doesn't have the handle like is not very flexible. I feel like it could fall. I always hear about them falling over.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that I just don't like the exposed straw. I know people made like covers for the straws, but I'm like,
I've seen those.
imagine cleaning that or like if something gets in that and then you're putting it on your straw.
Mhm.
That's my answer.
That's a good
What are
one.
you talking about? Kelp supplements.
Oh, I get emails about stupid supplements all the time. Like my recent one was like an algae kelp supplement thing. Helps you detox or something. I don't know.
I'd rather just eat some salty seaweed.
Yeah, me too.
I'd be good with that.
Me too. Okay, so Stanley
Okay.
Cups and Bloom powder. I feel like that's on brand. Like
That
that.
is very on brand.
Yeah.
We're probably together.
Yeah, exactly.
Too.
Yeah, putting some greens powder in your Stanley Cup is the ultimate offense.
Yeah, an ick. All right.
That's an ick. Okay, our final question today is what is the most underrated field of dietetics? Another great question.
So like underrated that like they don't get enough attention
That's what I'm thinking.
or
Yeah,
like enough recognition.
both. Enough
I feel
money.
like community.
Yeah,
I feel like community does not get enough love. I know they don't get enough money, sure.
not
And
enough
that's why
love.
it's really tough. Yeah.
Like they are the ones who are usually doing free programs and stuff. And so, of
Mhm.
course, they can't pay their staff very much because they're putting so much money into like being able to do the free programs.
I feel like that was a very easy answer.
That was very easy.
I'm trying to think of like, is there another field of dietetics that
I mean, of course, my biased opinion is like eating disorders and stuff like that because
yeah.
the rates of eating disorders are ever increasing. And
Yeah.
if you can't pay for it with insurance, which a lot of times people can't, then it's super expensive to see a dietitian out of pocket.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Yeah.
private practice ones, including myself, like don't accept insurance. And so
Mhm.
you have no option but to pay out of pocket.
Yeah. We need more love for our community dietitians and
Agreed.
also just advocacy for dietitians in general.
I think that would be a good place to start.
That'd be
I mean, we already
great.
have a full blown academy. Like, what else are they doing? So we're talking about how they're helping with diversity and advocacy.
They have one line about it in their opening statement and they move on.
That's all they need to do. Just address
Yeah.
it.
As
And then
long
it's
as we
good.
say it
Yeah.
at least once and it's on record, then it proves we're doing something.
Yeah.
This was fun. I enjoyed this. Well, I feel like we can follow up. We can finish up this episode at least though, and we'll hop on over to the bonus question. Go check it out. Tud Bud. Join the membership. Link is in our bio. That went much smoother than I normally do.
Much smoother. Well, thank you guys so much again for 100 episodes. We cannot believe that we've made this many. That's like a lot of episodes, and we'll just keep on making more.
Yeah, this was so fun. Maybe we'll do more of these if like we have more questions to be asked. I feel like we don't often ask questions, so we can't really gauge that well. But maybe we'll do more. Maybe we can do like every 50 or something like that. We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Thank you so much for tuning in on this episode of the Up-Beet Dietitians with your hosts Emily Krause and Hannah Thompson.
We appreciate you all so much for continuing to support us. In order to support us and sustain the success of this podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating and review.
If you'd like to provide us feedback for future episodes and guest stars, follow us on Instagram at the Up-Beet Dietitians.
Lastly, you can show us support by providing a monthly donation using the link at the end of our bio.
Once again, thank you so much for listening today, and stay tuned next Wednesday for a new episode. Until then, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.